instability, back pain, missed lifts. It doesn't have to be this way. I'm gonna show you 8 exercises that you can use to build a stronger lower back, and we're gonna start right. Accessory exercises usually have a dual purpose, especially when we're referring to the lower back. These are movements that we can use inside of our workout towards the tail end of that workout to build strength, or these are even movements that we can use at the front end of the workout to try and warm us up and get a little bit better feeling throughout that lower back. So a good warm-up can go a long way, and that first exercise that you can use is going to be a split squat. Now, bear with me here because I know we're not targeting the lower back directly, but one unique aspect that we're gonna focus on is strengthening the glutes, strengthening that hip girdle, which is going to support your lower back and help you be more mobile, okay? So one aspect here is that you might feel a slight discomfort as you get that knee to track forward. And even if you put your hands up here, you're probably gonna feel that even more. And even if I go here, I'm gonna feel that even more, but that is going to help actually alleviate some distress, and in turn it's gonna help my hips to be a little bit more mobile. Now, another big factor that I like is that if I would warm up with this, let's say I'm doing 4 sets of 5 on each leg. My first set, I might just do bodyweight split squats here, and I wanna use this pad that we have available at garagestrength.com to get my knee as a target to come down to as I move forward. The next aspect that I would like to do is actually get into an unstable situation. So I warm up a little bit, then I get onto that unstable surface on the PVC pipe. I'll have my front foot on the PVC pipe, which forces my glutes to be a little bit more aware. Then my trunk gets a little bit more stable. I have that dynamic trunk control. 4th set, I can add a little bit of weight and put a barbell on my back. So you can use this exercise to help wake everything up. And that's the big factor here. We're gonna give you direct exercises to target that lower back, but we're also gonna give you a couple other movement patterns to help support that lower back strengthening. So you've been there, you've felt it. Lower back pain can happen at the drop of a hat. It can be caused in an acute situation immediately. It feels like you get shot in the back. It can also be something that builds up over time and then eventually gets to the point where you can't tolerate it anymore. And one of the big factors that we have to look at is what really is going to be causing some sense of lower back pain. And if we can break it down, there's gonna be issues along your erector spinae, okay? If they're taking on a lot of load, look at those specific muscles as slower twitch, and those muscles might fatigue over time. So if we're doing a set of front squats and all of a sudden you lean forward in a weird position, you might injure your back for a little bit, right? And you might be out for 2 to 3 days laid up, and that's typically gonna be caused from the erector spinae. Now, another example might be your QL might cause some issue, okay? That's like the side bender. One thing that I can share with you is that I was out for a jog, right? And I'm running up a hill, I'm gassed, I'm dying. And I turned to look to see if a car was coming. And when I turned, I leaned slightly and I felt like I got shot in my left side of my back. Now, what I ended up doing is I tried to troubleshoot back to what caused that pain. What position was I in? And then I could use exercises specific to the QL to try and improve that. And that was done in an acute setting. And then if we look down at the mobility around our glutes or the strength of our glutes relative to the strength of our quads, relative to the strength of our torso. That can also be an issue in regards to lower back pain. Another trouble area might be your piriformis. This is something that typically will be built up over time. Okay, it's gonna be a chronic issue that could lead to piriformis syndrome. So we've also gotta be aware of that. These key areas are gonna play a major factor in whether or not it's an acute or a chronic situation. So all these exercises are gonna try and target some of these different aspects. So the next exercise that's gonna really be a miracle worker for strengthening your lower back and alleviating potential pain is going to be the reverse hyper. Now, when we do a workout, right, we typically will have technical coordination, then absolute strength movement, and this is where the reverse hyper will come into play at that third spot. That third spot would typically be that accessory. Now, with that being said, someone like Haley Reichert, who trains 9 sessions a week, does do reverse hypers sometimes before her session and after her session. Up to 5 or 6 times a week she'll be doing this. The load will be different in the warm-up versus when you're actually using it as an accessory. Another big factor is that because the erectors are tending to be slower twitch, I really like to have quite a long period of time under tension. Now, one thing too that I like to coach is actually filling your belly button up with air. So you'll be here as we get on this pad. And we even have a full-length YouTube video just around research on the reverse hyper. So this might look like this. Okay, I'm gonna get set. Try and squeeze through that belly button. Now, I might do that for 4 sets of 17 to 4 sets of 30, somewhere crazy like that. We've even had athletes do 1 set of 50, which is absolutely insane. I'm gonna pair this with a movement over here that's going to be Dane's fast back. Now, this is an exercise that I played around with, basically learning a couple different dynamic trunk control exercises, and then I wanted to do the posterior chain version of those movement patterns. So this is going to be using a glute ham. My back's fairly fatigued from that reverse hyper. I feel a decent pump in my erectors, right? And even a little bit in my glutes. Now, one aspect is that if you think back to that QL discussion and turning on the hill and almost feeling like I got shot in the back. This is one of those exercises that can really target the QL quite a bit, and even to a point your piriformis. I would recommend starting with this relatively easily, but what I wanna focus on is I'd come over here and I come up, okay? I come down, boom. Come over here, boom. So I would go through that 2 or 3 times just to feel that pattern. Now, the next step is that I wanna do this with an actual load. So I wanna get a plate right in front of me. So I got a 10K plate, and I'm gonna demonstrate what that deceleration looks like. So we're gonna be rotating, decelerating very rapidly. So I'm here, like this. Ooh, nice and dusty. And what I wanna do is do that for about 3 to 4 sets of 5 to each side. I'm gonna rotate back and forth with the reverse hyper, back to Dane's fast back. You're gonna feel it in your hamstrings, you're gonna feel it in your lower back, you're gonna feel it in your glutes. And that's what we have to do to strengthen that lower back so it's indestructible. The erector spinae is always erect. Now, what that means is that if we're looking at our back, okay, we are almost always in a position where we're more erect. Okay, now, some people that sit very frequently, that shorten their hamstrings, that slouch like this, that are mouth breathers like myself, over time, that can lead to issues in their lower back. And this next movement is going to be something that's very unique. The next 2 exercises sort of pair together with your erectors and target your erectors to do things that they aren't typically going to do. So this next exercise, if I would get up on this box, I'm gonna do a Jefferson curl. Now, this is a great movement that gymnasts tend to use all of the time. A lot of other mobility specialists would use this as a good warm-up, but also to strengthen. I don't really like putting a significant load on this. I would rather use this mainly as a warm-up, and what I would recommend doing here is thinking about folding the whole way down, almost like a wave from the top, okay, here. So what we're gonna do is start with the chin, tuck the chin here, and we just round that back all the way here, down, and then you come back and do that reverse. Back up. I could be a little bit more mobile. Each set, or each rep, really, you're gonna try and feel that lengthen, okay, here. Down, 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 down. And then back up. And then over time, you can add some load. As a warm-up, you can do that for 3 sets of 5, 3 sets of 6, and just feel that curl from the top, come all the way down, and then come back up. Now, I like pairing this, and this is where this would be more of a strengthening movement, with a knees bent, round back glute ham. This is where you're gonna feel the hamstrings, the glute med, because of the way I'm gonna have my knees placed, and my erector spine. I'm gonna have my feet in the glute ham. I want my toes out and my knees out. That's where I'm gonna feel hip extension into this pad. Hip extending into this pad. Now, what I wanna do is I'm gonna come down and round and come back up. Here, up. And I'm almost thinking about like the Jefferson curl. I can initiate that round back position from the chin, okay? I'm gonna drop down, I'm gonna come forward, and I wanna arch, and my hamstrings and glute med are gonna be stabilizing my back. They're gonna be that isometric platform, okay? So I'm here. Ooh. I could round a little more. And what I really, really like with the round back glute ham is that you're gonna get a huge pump in the mid portion of your back here. You're also gonna feel the isometric action from the hamstrings and the glutes pressing into the pad. That's gonna play a pivotal role in that foundation. You can do this for like 4 sets of 9, 4 sets of 12. Do the Jefferson curl, 3 to 4 sets of 5 to 6 reps with that slow eccentric. Try and be a little bit more aware of what those positions feel like. And you're even gonna notice, like when you get to certain points, like I can feel my back a little bit more at this position, or I can feel this part of my back a little bit more here. And that's when you can go even slower through that eccentric portion to try and alleviate that issue and make it stronger. Now, the next combo of exercises can tremendously alleviate lower back issues. That's not gonna be the perfect solution. There might be bigger things that you have to figure out, but these two movements can help you to a point. And the first exercise is going to be the piriformis stretch. And it's an exercise that we've seen have tremendous success here at Garage Strength when we have kids that come in and they have some type of lower back issue. I would say about 75 to 80% of them feel some type of pain release just by doing that piriformis stretch. And that second exercise that we're gonna do for mobility and a little bit of strength is going to be the hip 90-90. Now, if I demonstrate here, okay, and I'm doing that hip 90-90, I can start and treat it almost like a mobility exercise here, coming up without any load. This can be something that we can use as a really, really good warm-up. And again, this is inside of our mobility workouts in peak strength. We come up, squeeze through the hips, come back down, come back up, squeeze through those hips. Now, this is like the first step of those hip 90-90, right? Now we can get set here. Ooh, I can feel this really tight on this hip right now, which might actually explain why I have slight lower back pain. Here, oh, come back down. Come back down. Now, one thing that's gonna make this a little bit more strength related is if we use this load, okay? So I'm gonna hold this out. Okay, and we can just go nice and slow here, boom. Now, do both sides equally. You can do that piriformis stretch, I'd say 3 sets of 30 seconds to each side. Hip 90-90 here with a kettlebell, let's say 3-4 sets of 7 to each side. These two movements are fantastic for improving your lower back strength and that hip girdle mobility. But you know what's not good for your lower back is sitting too much. Everyone sits too damn much. High schoolers sit too much. You're sitting too much right now, sitting in your cubicle, watching this video while you should be doing work. Everyone's constantly sitting, and that's going to lead to some sense of back pain. And that's why we wanna help you guys get up and move. If you head over to peakstrength.app, the Google Play Store or the Apple iOS Store, you can get 5 free workouts. And in those 5 free workouts, you're gonna start exercising, you're gonna start moving, you're gonna start improving your mobility, which is going to alleviate that back pain and help you gain some lean muscle mass. Now, the next 2 exercises that we're gonna use are my favorite for targeting that QL, a little bit of your adductors as well. And the first one is going to be a unique twist on the Copenhagen plank. And this is something where we could go 3 to 4 sets, let's say 30 to 45 seconds on each side. Start with a simple Copenhagen plank, which might just look like getting set here, okay? If I get set here and I hold like this. Now, the next thing, ooh, I almost fell over. Now the next aspect would be, I'm gonna get set, I'm gonna try and finagle this, here we go, is hold this hip lock position for 30 to 45 seconds. So we feel this here and in through our groin here and in through our lower back. Holy, that's hard while I'm still talking. So try and use that for 3 to 4 sets of 30 to 45 seconds. Scale up to that slowly. And don't forget, get those 5 free workouts at peakstrength.app. Now, this is my all-time favorite, possibly the greatest lower back exercise of all time, and this is called a posterior twist, and you've probably never seen it. Now, what we wanna do is get set here, okay? I'm gonna put my foot here, and I'm gonna come up here, boom, 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 boom. And if you notice, I'm lengthening, boom, boom. And what happens is that you're gonna feel this rotation from this hip and a pull from your lower back. This can help alleviate that stress or strengthen that QL. This is my all-time favorite. 4 sets of 12 to each side. Start with a little lower weight and then build up over that long period of time. The next thing that we can do, which is really unique, is that let's say we don't have access to a reverse hyper, we're traveling or anything like that. Put it on an immovable object. This is the plant. Come up, and now we're gonna bring this in right past our belly button. Boom, boom. And you can even get creative with this. And this is where you're gonna start to feel it with the band a little bit more in the hammies and the glutes and that lower back and abs. So use this movement, 4 sets of 12 to each side. Use that strength band when you're traveling. Again, these are all fantastic movements, but I still believe the posterior twist is the #1 back strengthening exercise that you guys can do, because remember, freaks, if you wanna become a champion, you've always gotta cultivate your power. Peace.